Every day on the lesson tee, I get students coming out and complaining about lack of compression, lack of solid shots. And then when I watch them swinging, I see the golf club racing past their body where impact would be happening back here, and that club is just flying by. Something along these lines. So one of the key things I teach them is how to create the proper angles and deliver them to achieve this line of compression that we see in all the greats. And then by the end of their lesson, at full speed, it starts to look something like this. So if you're somebody who lacks compression, stick around. I'm going to show you the keys to get some. So you're after compression. First thing we need to understand is what it is and how it's created. So I'm going to come up and just show you with a golf ball a couple things that are musts if we want to create compression. Number one, if I'm hitting this golf ball and my club shaft is leaning backwards, the only part of the golf club that can actually hit the ball would be the bottom. So I'm either going to hit it a little on the bottom of the club, thin, or I'm going to catch ground first and hit it fat. Neither one of those is great. So if I want to be able to move the strike point up into the face where we want it, the shaft needs to begin to lean a little forward. So just with a little lean, all of a sudden now you can see I can get that strike point up into the golf ball, and I can actually, or the golf ball up into the face, and I can actually get that ball up into the face without the club being on the ground. So you can see there, that would be striking perfectly, and my club is not down on the ground. So then I can get my low point forward. Those are critical pieces if we want to be able to get those real compressed flush shots. And the second part to really feeling that compressed golf ball is getting the strike in the middle of the face. We've got to get centeredness of contact. If you're catching it toe or heel, it's always going to feel a little bit clacky or clunky. Thing number one that we need to understand is how our trail wrist affects the dynamic loft. And once we understand that, and then we understand how we can use our bodies to be able to deliver a properly loaded trail wrist into the ball, now we have something where we can deliver that proper dynamic loft. So what is the functionality of our trail wrist? Well, our trail wrist mostly just extends and flexes. There is a little bit of radial hinge in it, but we're not going to go into that. It extends and it flexes. What I would like it to do is extend, and then as my body unwinds, I want to transport that extended trail wrist. Now that would be a very lean shaft if I was able to deliver that into the golf ball. That's more than we actually need. Some of that is going to come out due to momentum, but you need to understand how to load it and how to use your pivot as a transportation system to deliver that golf club up into the golf ball correctly. A few drills that we use. First one we use is just to grip the golf club in the middle of the shaft, and if I'm applying a force with my wrist to hit, I'm getting whacked in the ribs by my grip. So now I want to feel how I could wind this up, load my trail wrist, and then use my pivot to deliver the golf club without whacking myself. And then once you can feel how to do that, then we can work our way down the shaft. Down the shaft. Now we can actually start hitting little shots, just allowing that trail wrist to maintain its extension through the shot. Now that might look like I'm holding off, but if I add a little speed, that's going to release. I just don't want to be manually applying force to try to flip it square, which many of you are doing. So now check this out. This is what this should look like. I'm just going to demonstrate one. We're going to load it, deliver it, and just hit a little chippy one. Something like that. Where I didn't throw my wrists at it. If you do it correctly, you're going to get a low bullet ball flight, which is going to feel really good if you're used to flipping it. So if you're a difficult case and you have a difficult time feeling how to load your trail wrist, I've got a really cool tool here. This is the George Genkus G-Snap trail wrist, and this one gives some audible feedback when you load your wrist correctly. What we're going to do with it is we're going to practice loading it and then not hearing it unload through the strike. So you really want to feel like you load it, deliver it, and don't hear it unload in the beginning phases of these drills. So this is a really good one. Just want to show you this from face on so you can see how this pops when I load, and when I unload, it pops again. So if I turn back and I load it correctly and I deliver it, no second pop. But if I load it and let it unload, I get a second pop on the downswing too soon. So this is a really good feedback device. Will help you understand how to load that trail wrist correctly. Now, one thing I really like to do, and I don't think it can be underestimated, is practicing without a golf club in hand and just training yourself to feel what you're trying to feel with your trail hand and arm. We don't want to feel like we're doing this. We want to feel the opposite. We're unwinding and we're transporting this loaded system through the ball. Now the trail arm can straighten, but I don't want anything dumping out behind me. And the more you can practice that, the more it gets ingrained and the more it will become part of you and your golf swing. Now the second point and last point for creating those really compressed shots is getting that centeredness of contact. Now oftentimes when I have players work on how they load and unwind or toe the club through the strike, the centeredness of contact just kind of shows up. But if it doesn't, here's a real simple drill you can do to start training yourself to make that better contact. So you can set up a tee on the inside and the outside, right in line with the ball here. So just big enough, I want it a little smaller here, just big enough for me to pass my club through. Okay, so just big enough for me to pass my club through. If I hit this tee, I'm going to toe it. If I hit that tee, I'm going to heel it. And you practice delivering the club through that space, and ideally I want to see the divot happening in front of those tees so I could set up here and make a nice swing and just hit that shot like that. And it's clear here, you can see my divot starts well beyond those tees, and I passed right through the middle of them, and that was a nice centered strike. So this is a really simple drill you can do to start training yourself how to pass the club through the ball and catch the sweet spot. And in the beginning, as you're starting to use this drill, I would do it with the feeling of loading the wrists and towing it through so you get that sensation. So we're not unloading it too soon. We're developing both skills at the same time. So if compression eludes you, slow down, go back, do these two concepts. Learn how to load the wrists, how to unwind the body and deliver proper wrist angles into the ball slowly, and learn how to hit the center of the face, and then gradually build the speed back up. And I know you're going to start compressing those shots better than ever. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And also, if you'd like further coaching, come visit us at milolinesgolf.com, where we can help you learn to swing like an athlete and play the greatest golf of your life.